We are live. Welcome back to the James McGee Show. I am your host. I am James McGee. Tommy Wells, fresh off of the Steelers beating the Bengals today. He's excited about that. And Candace from the upcoming Candace is Right podcast.
One of these days.
We'll talk about that at the end about what the status of your show is. So we just gonna dive into it. So I'm gonna open with, all politicians are full of shit. Mm-hmm. They don't ever accomplish anything for us. And what they do for us is they attach themselves to a topic. They attach themselves to a cause that they don't give a fuck about, but it's a punchline. It's a hook line. It is the latest, greatest thing. So healthcare during this shutdown, the Democrats who ruined healthcare, tried to convince us, this was their thing. We're trying to, we're holding out because we're protecting your health care. And, we know what they were doing. It was the illegals, and it was about the subsidies. And Candace, you are the most, out of us three, you have really know the history of this Obamacare and how they pulled the wool over our eyes. And Tom, you got some, you being approaching a 60-year-old man and being retired, healthcare is a concern, and so that's our main topic. There's some things we're going to slide into. We're going to have to talk about, even though I'm tired of talking about fucking Epstein. We'll probably hit Epstein, tonight. But Candace, go through just briefly the history of the Obamacare and the subsidies and all that, because you've done some videos on it. You're very educated on it. Just tell us what the truth on that, the facts.
Well, and it pisses me off the most because when things were implemented, it was at probably the lowest point in my life personally. I was just a newborn mom. I had no money, the usual things. And when Obamacare came out, they really, before Obamacare, let's start there. I had a $211 a month, $2,000 deductible PPO plan. Covered everything I needed it to cover. $2,000 deductible, $211 a month from Assurant Health. After the implementation of Obamacare, every single plan that was similar to that and every other company that had similar plans became unconstitutional. So you completely leveled all of the competition that existed. And it's funny because people don't understand what really existed now. Now, my husband and I pay over $1,500 a month just for the two of us for a $4,500 deductible. And then we pay another $538 a month for our two children, which they are technically on state insurance.
How much again?
$538 a month for our two kids.
So you're paying $2,000.
We're paying $2,000. It's more than our mortgage. My mortgage is $1,500 a month. Now, here's the craziest part. The $538 we pay for our kids is technically state insurance that we pay full cost for because it's better coverage than our private insurance that we are forced to purchase.
And that insurance is available for children?
Yes. So it's the state
we have
insurance.
A program here. Yeah, we have a program in Louisiana. That's a pretty good program for kids.
The coverage is phenomenal. But for somebody like me and my husband now at this point in our lives, we're paying full price. We have never gotten a deal on their insurance, nor have we ever gotten a subsidy on ours. Now, if we want to go back to Obamacare implementation, you got rid of all of these policies, you got rid of competition. At the lowest point in my life, I had to choose between insuring my son for X amount of dollars a month, I don't remember what it was at that time, or insuring myself for almost $500 a month, making nothing. I wasn't making a whole lot of money, but it was still above where I would qualify for a subsidy. So I wound up having to pay a wonderful healthcare fine, both my husband and I. So again, at the lowest point in our lives, when we depended on our tax returns, it went to the federal government because we had to make a choice between insuring ourselves or insuring our children.
What year was this, Candace?
So my son was born in 2016. So it was, when I'm trying to even think, when was Trump's first term? 2016 or 2017?
He was elected in 16.
It was the year before, and I'll tell you what made me vote for Trump, because I'll tell you what, we were going to not vote. We weren't voting at all. Between Hillary and Trump, we thought it was a shit show. I had gotten a letter 2 weeks before election day from my health insurance company letting me know that my current plan was not going to be available because it was unconstitutional. And then I would have to choose another plan that was anywhere between $50 and $85 more expensive for the following year. So when Obamacare was implemented, so you're talking 2010, 2011, okay?
Mhm.
I not only lost my plan that I had, I paid the fine for the first year. And then every single year after that, up until the Trump election, I lost my plan. It was never available the following year. I always had to choose another plan for another increase in my premium.
Totally ridiculous.
Insane,
Yep.
absolutely insane. And this was something that the Democrats lobbied for. They did it in 2010, 2011, whenever it was actually pushed through. And it had nothing but Democratic support. Republicans did not support this. So that means the Democrats built in the subsidies at that time. Fast forward to COVID, they once again did subsidies based off of COVID emergency subsidies.
So with
The
these subsidies,
Democrats,
how long were they for?
so they were through what we're fighting about now.
Right.
They
Okay,
were to
so they were for 10
expire.
years. They were 10 years.
So the original subsidies, I believe, were meant to expire around COVID, and they
Okay,
decided to then extend them even further
Right.
I got
to this stage that we have now. And once again, Democrats are the ones that decided on the subsidies themselves, the start date of the subsidies, and the end date of the subsidies without any Republican support
it. Okay,
whatsoever.
so correct me if I'm wrong. From my understanding, the subsidies is paid directly to insurance companies.
Hmm.
They're not
Absolutely.
subsidized. They're not giving you $2,000 a
No.
year to go buy health insurance, and that's what people. That's what they try to make you believe. That people that like me that it doesn't affect. Um, they're trying to make us believe that. So what has happened is, so it sounds like some money laundering going on to me.
No, I say it all the time. It's the biggest
That's
money laundering scheme
it
there
is.
is.
Sounds like a money laundering scheme, Thomas. It sounds like that the federal government is uh, giving all this money to the insurance companies, and they're still pretty much. I mean, what are they subsidizing? They're not subsidizing your household, Candace. If y'all are still paying $2,000 a month for health insurance,
$2,000 a month.
they're not.
Probably
And
subsidizing CEO paychecks.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly
So
right.
so if you look into the politics of it, Kamala Harris raised $1.2 billion in her campaign from in 60 days.
Mhm.
Okay. Who'd she raise that money for? She didn't raise it from the poor people with $10 donations that she claimed that she was representing. It's these big. I guarantee you, if we dug deep into it, Tom, we would find that she gave got a whole lot from the health insurance.
No doubt. The
Because they knew what
health
Trump was gonna
industry
do.
is one of the,
Solved.
that's right. It's one of the biggest specialty interest groups out there.
Mhm.
And what upsets me so much about this, and this is kind of interesting, we can dive into this here in a minute as a sidetrack, but it's so interesting because, Candace made the absolutely valid point that the Democrats were the ones that pushed this through and the Republicans did not support it at all. And I cannot understand for the life of me how here we are 15 years later and our Republicans, who I'm a total supporter of, have let us down by not coming up with an alternative. And that's kind of where, if you've seen lately, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's a staunch Republican, has been kind of on the circuit talking about how, hey, I'm not for Obamacare by any stretch of the imagination, but I think we need to start working really hard as Republicans to make sure that we start, not only not supporting what the Democrats did, but coming up with a plan to save our country. Because I'll tell you when we get, whenever you're ready, I'm going to tell you a little clip story about what's happened to us with me being retired and what we're facing.
Let's do it now.
Okay, well, so basically I retired in 2023. When I was at the police department, I was paying about $400 a month for a family plan, much like Candace. I had basically it was a $4,000 deductible, but the city put $2,000 into that. They funded that for us each year. So really my out of pocket was only those premiums and $2,000. And they allowed us a situation where I could put pre-tax money into the HSA that would make up that $2,000. So by the end of the year, it would be fully funded. So the $4,000. So I really never saw anything out of pocket, and we had great insurance. So then I retired in 2023. We COBRA with the city that I was working for. The premiums were $2,600 a month. And we got stipends, both my wife and I, totaling $1,600. So we were able to knock it down to roughly something that was like $1,100 or $1,200 a month is what we were paying. And we still had now we had the $4,000 deductible, which of course the city was not funding anymore, which again, it's a lot of money, but we were like, okay, this is kind of what we're facing. So I wound up having the opportunity to work at the railroad. I now work full-time at the Cincinnati Eastern Railroad. I pay roughly this is my daughter's just aging off. So my new premium is going to be about $380 a month, zero deductible plan. All I pay for is office visits and the premiums. I cannot touch that on the private market. We have been trying to shop it because I do want to be retired. I want to get to a position where I'm not working full time on a I don't want to say it's a hard job, but it's a physical job. I'm almost 60 years old. I'm ready to be living the good life that I earned by working on the police department for 33 and a half years. And what we're facing right now is anywhere from $1,200 to $3,000 premiums per month, with deductibles that range anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000. This is on the open market. And the kicker in this whole thing is that the majority of it doesn't even cover our doctors. So if you think about this, we're paying thousands of dollars a month to have insurance and then having to meet a deductible, which we may or may not meet. So we're basically paying premiums for nothing to be served by doctors who aren't even on the list. This is a total shell game. It's like, she started calling around and putting her prescriptions in and putting the doctors in, and literally none of them were on this plan. And I'm like, how can this be happening in the United States of America? And I told her, it's like, do we have the money that we could afford that? Yes, but I'm not playing that game. I'm going to stay where where I am right now, because I'm not playing that game. I expect our congressmen and senators to do something and to make this right and bring that competition back. And that's exactly what Candace, I think your point was earlier. You had a competitive field back there before Obamacare, and that is what Trump's talking about doing. And I hope to God he does it, because if they don't figure out a way to do that, they're going to have a real tough time in the 26 midterms. So that's my story.
Absolutely. And trust me, I'm with you, because the one prescription that I'm on, I'm generally, thank God, very healthy. The one, I do have an autoimmune disease. The one medication that I need to be on is the one thing that is not covered. And it's like, okay, like every time we get a bill, it's like, all right, guess we're going to pay this now. And it's just, it's a constant cycle. But also, one of the biggest things that I experienced 2 years ago is I wound up having a reactive lymph node in my neck for no reason whatsoever, because I have a thyroid condition. I was like, holy shit, I have cancer. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, it's scary.
It's horrifying. I immediately went through channels. Everybody was like, nope. That one specialist is like, nope. Other specialists like, nope. We don't know. Doesn't make sense. Can't figure it out. I had begged my general doctor, please send me for a CT. Like, I want to see what this is.
Yeah.
She finally, after multiple visits, sent me for the CT. The insurance company denied me for my CT. I paid out of pocket $500 just so I can get it, to make sure I wasn't dying, which thank God I wasn't. But
money well spent.
Exactly. Another $500. But that's also the other thing that's interesting, right? Because when we pay out of pocket, or we find out these out of pocket costs, it's like, wait a second, why wouldn't I just do that versus carrying a $2,000 a month premium? Plus, I'm still paying 500 something dollars out of pocket for shit.
Right.
None of it makes sense. We have
No,
everything.
see, that's the part of it that infuriates me, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's how it feels to me when we talk about these exorbitant premiums where you have to meet these massive deductibles. Why even have insurance?
Exactly.
It's crazy, But the problem is, if you have a major medical event, I mean, I follow a Facebook page about Ohio police and fire retirees and some of the hell that they've been going through. There's been this whole problem with it. That's a whole nother story, but this company that's been administering to the healthcare plan there, and where people are just simply not having their premium or their claims paid. And there was a person on there was commenting that they have, that they just had this pretty serious medical condition, and they're on the hook for $140,000 because the insurance company just simply said, we're not paying that.
Yeah. And
when they thought they were covered.
Scary thing, you guys, is like what we've done by going into Obamacare, and these people who are lining up saying this is great, we need this. You have literally stopped doctors, right? The medical professionals who are treating you do not have a say in your care. The insurance company, I could have had lymphoma, and the insurance company was like, nope, sorry, you're denied. And I would have had to wait however many more months until the insurance company dictated my care.
Yeah.
Like that is the kicker
Disgusting.
here too. Like
Yeah.
people are dying because they're not being able to get the care and the specialized testing that would otherwise save their lives. They have
Yeah.
to go through a waiting period. They have to go through all of these ridiculous criterias, even when their doctors are saying, "Hey, my patient needs this."
Yeah.
That's frightening.
So,
Yes.
Candace, I have a question that I've always kind of wanted to know this. Now, I think you said before what your husband does for a living. And you can say it if
Yes.
you want. I won't say it unless you're just okay that
No,
I do.
he is an employment and personal injury attorney. So
Okay, and
we both
he's part of a small law. He has his own law firm.
yes, he has his own firm. So being
Okay,
self-employed, we're
but
on the open
this
market.
is my question. All right.
Hmm.
So I've always wondered this about things like the bar association. Why? So the reason why our insurance is so much more affordable
Hmm.
is like my insurance is through the Louisiana Sheriff's Association. Okay, so just our department was 1,000. So there
Right.
is. Read that comment, Tom.
I can't see.
Jason. He's ball he's ball busting about the
The Steelers.
about
Oh,
the
yeah.
Steelers.
Thanks, buddy. Sorry about those Bengals, but go ahead.
So so there's thousands of us through the state, so
Mhm.
that's why the health insurance is so much more affordable. Even though he's a couple people law firm, why doesn't associations like the bar association offer something? Even though you're paying it, they're
Mhm.
negotiating it. Therefore, you're going to get it. Why doesn't that exist?
I think because there's a lot of like federal and state level attorneys. And so they have their own conglomerate there for those types of,
So why there's got to
people
be
that
there's a whole
practice.
bunch of small law firms. So
Right? You would think.
why isn't there something, why isn't there something for I don't understand that.
That they could even contribute? I mean, it's a good question. Nothing that and I'm sure he would have investigated and found something. And we actually, we do have a few employees. So we also, our one employee in particular, we cover her insurance, I think 100%. And then for her spouse,
Good
we
for y'all.
cover 50% because,
Good for
they're
y'all.
close to us. We want to make sure that they're taken care of. We value, them working for us. And
A
she
lot of
was
firms don't do that.
actually
That's a retention. That's a good retention.
exactly.
It's the right thing. First off, it's the right thing to do. But you got to
Well,
look.
and truthfully, she was working as a phlebotomist and she was going to be mandated to be vaccinated. And she was like, I don't know what to do. And at that point, that was when we were opening the firm. And it was
Mhm.
like, well, how about you leave and we'll pay you more money and you'll have a much better schedule. And,
Mhm.
she's been with us ever since. But yeah, there is a sense of responsibility for the people who are working for you. And we want to make sure that we can provide what we can. And that's also the things that people don't understand when it's like, oh, well, you guys make so much money. Really? Because we're outlaying a lot of it to make sure that the
Yeah.
people who help us run
Yeah.
are, meeting their own financial goals
People
and
don't
feel
realize
comfortable.
look, I
The
never fully
lack
realized
of
until
business knowledge,
yeah.
the general American person has no fucking idea. And
No,
it's
I
so
didn't really either
infuriating.
until
Yeah.
I owned my own business. I didn't, because I can tell you, if you looked at my accounts receivable,
Mhm.
I got a lot of money coming in.
Yeah. Oh, it looks
Look,
great,
look,
right?
look,
And then
look
at
at
the
my
end, you're
accounts
like, what the
payable. I
fuck?
got a
We're
lot of
also
money got
paying
fucking going out.
37%
Yeah.
in tax. Like that's
Yeah.
my self-employment tax because since we both have
Mhm.
businesses, it's like 25% right off the bat. Like, hi, there you go.
Yeah.
Just so I can mark myself as self-employed. And it's like people don't understand is yeah, you look real great on paper and then you start whittling down every single thing you pay from your rent multiple places. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? To just all of these other line items. And
So
Tom,
the
we have an
tax
HSA
bracket.
too.
Yeah.
And it's like it's the only thing that we can do to just try and
Keep your head
use
above
some of
water.
our own money and like try to cover some of these medical expenses, even though thankfully they are
Mm.
small. But it's like the general American person, like you need to wake up and see what's happening. And this is why businesses
Yeah.
are so like deregulate me, like we
Yeah.
can't afford it. It's too expensive, especially when you have the highest cost in utilities, rent, and now healthcare. You're not going to survive.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
if
when
you go ahead.
no, you go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to say, and that's an excellent point too about when you look at how much it costs for people, young people being not able to afford houses until they're older now, and how much you look like in Cincinnati, for example, which typically has a lower cost of living than most larger. That it's getting to be a pretty good size metropolitan area, and it still is behind the curve on its cost of living. So that's a good thing, but you have all these places that are going up, and the rent here is exorbitant now. And it's like, so people can't either afford to rent, they can't afford to buy a house, they can't afford health insurance. And you think, how are people going to function particularly on a single paycheck? Most people are either working two jobs, or you have, where you have both family, couples that are working. It's become unmanageable.
It honestly, there no truer words have been spoken. And like to the whole, yes, should it be fixed? Yeah, but I got to be honest with you, like I'm a petty bitch. I'm at the point now where I'm like, fuck it, you wanted this? Now experience the high premiums we've been paying for a decade. Experience it now.
Yeah.
Your little subsidies are going away now. Experience it. I
Well,
do
who were
kind
the
of get
subsidies
annoyed.
for? Why didn't you get subsidies? Because you made too
What's
much
up? Why
money?
didn't I get subsidies?
Because
Because we were both working, but an entry level attorney makes nothing. I had a corporate job that made nothing. So you combine those two, and it's too much money for the spectrum of subsidies.
I got you.
Always. And so, I get annoyed when it comes to what, and that's because a lot of times we chose to, I don't know if it, because we chose to file separately. That was the other issue, because we had student loan debt to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I look at all the excuses that everybody has now, and it's like, I don't want to fucking hear it. We
Yeah.
all had to do the same shit. And that's why I get to the point of, I don't think it's fair that Democrats fuck everything up, and it's always like, oh, Republicans need to fix it. In 2017, Trump tried twice. There were two initiatives that he tried to pass through Congress, no Democrat support. They crashed and burned both
Right.
times to help alleviate some of this strain from Obamacare. And so when people keep saying, oh, Trump just has a concept of a plan, he's already provided two other plans that did not gain any Democrat support.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yep. Well, look what they've done to the country with the shutdown. I mean,
Mhm.
the bottom line is the Democrats were using this shutdown as leverage, and
Mhm.
and they did not care what was going to happen to the typical American citizen. And the bottom line is they were pushing for those subsidies,
Mhm.
and in the end it fell apart because thank God there were some people out there that I mean, I don't believe Democrats are heartless people. There were some out there
Mhm.
that finally got their soul together and realized, what, this is bad for the country, this is bad for my constituents, and I have to get on board and vote to reopen the government. But then you have these people like Mamdani and AOC that are just so off the rails. People in New York, they think, just like what you were talking about, Candace, with people that have their own businesses and that sort of thing. What's going to happen when Mamdani taxes that place out of existence for
Oh,
his
and it's
free
coming.
buses and free grocery stores? And there's going to be nothing, because anybody that has any sense is going to leave New York and go someplace else and open their business.
Absolutely. And Mom Donnie or I'm sorry, Kathy Hochul has already said, sorry, dude, your free bus is not going to work out. She already had a budget meeting, and the transportation systems were like, no, we can't afford to do this. So he
Really, I did
has
not.
no choice but to
Oh my
Well,
walk
God,
that
that's
back.
great. I love hearing that.
Yeah,
Tom, first off, and I'm
it
I'm
was my
not
favorite
saying,
thing.
yeah, I'm not saying that it's that she's a reasonable good person. What she is not dumb when it comes to the politics of it. She's New York State elected. New York State
Mhm.
is very close, could
Flip.
end up turning red.
I
I,
say it
I
all the
think
time.
I think
Outside of New York
they're
City.
no, you said that on this
Hmm.
show before. So she's there's a lot of things. There's nothing this man said he was going to do
Hmm.
that he's going to be able to do. And then what he's going to do, he's going to blame Kathy Hochul, and then which is great. Let them eat each other, kind of like we're doing right now as Republicans. Which my show tomorrow morning's about that. It's making me sick about what we're doing, eating each other right now. But that's what's going to happen is they're going to turn on her, and at least Stefanik's going to be in the governor.
Hmm.
I think because and he ain't Mondami, Tom. He's Mondummy.
Hmm.
Mom Dummy. That's what I call him.
And I
And so
don't
Yeah.
he's
think
going
he
to.
truthfully has support. I truthfully don't think, like, somebody like Kathy Hochul, she's like old school Dem, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's not
Yeah, I
as
don't think she's
radical.
terrible. Yeah, she's
Yeah, I
not
mean,
tip Jane. She's not,
she's not
I don't think
as
she's in trouble.
radical. And like the as radicals, like the semi-moderate, maybe getting a moderate Dems are like, ooh, this is not good. They don't like this. This is not the vibe that they're trying to go for.
Well, he
And
was elected. We've already said this on this show that he was elected because of
The
the,
Gen Zers.
yeah,
well, the natural, Tom, people that have been citizens of this country for less than 5 years is the reason why he got elected.
yep.
That was
And the
40% of
under
the
30
base.
crowd, which
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
were one
that
of the
is
same
probably about the same. Yeah,
category.
they were pretty
Yeah.
much one of the same. Yeah, so you're right.
Yeah.
So how do we? What's the best way? I don't have a fix for that. I don't know what,
I know the
except
fix.
these
I know.
subsidies. That's what I want to know.
I
First
know
off,
the fix.
subsidies. If we're going to do subsidies, they need to not go to insurance companies. They need to go to you. They
Mhm.
need to go to you. They need to
Get
go to
rid
the
of it
people like
all. You go back to privatizing, you allow insurance to be purchased across state lines. Those that need subsidies, they go to Medicaid and Medicare. That's what the government deals with. You allow everybody else to go to a privatized insurance market and they can pick and choose their plans. Why is my 70-year-old mother or my, 45-year-old friend who had a hysterectomy needing to purchase insurance for prenatal care?
Yeah.
Stupid shit. And it's like nobody actually reads their policies, right? So
Right.
you've got things like drug addiction counseling in there, rehab in there, list of things that you may never need, prenatal care, prostate cancer care, the things
Right.
that are not, it's not itemized for you anymore. You can't pick and choose. And this is something that
it's
Americans
blanket
fucked up.
policies.
Exactly. And they fucked it up a long time ago because healthcare and medical treatment in general is the only thing we walk in and we have no idea what we're paying. We don't ask. A box of tissues is 15 fucking dollars at a hospital, right?
Yeah.
A
Yep.
Tylenol is $85. We
Yeah.
don't ask. We don't say, you know what? I got my own fucking Tylenol. We don't make any decisions and we don't give ourselves the opportunity to be competitive. So then you have monopolies and you have healthcare facilities charging whatever the fuck they want because they can, because you're not going to ask, and they're just going to bill whatever to the insurance and see what the insurance is going to give them.
Right.
So when you eliminate all of that and you allow people to have more of a choice again and look at health insurance like they would any other insurance, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, people with pre-existing conditions, people that are using their health insurance more, why is the government subsidizing you and not a healthy person? Healthy people should have a vanishing deductible just
Good
like
point.
fucking car insurance.
Right.
Because if I'm not using my health care, why should I have to carry that same dollar deductible each and every calendar year?
Couldn't
It
agree more. I'm
it
so
makes
glad you brought that
no
up.
sense.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up, Candace, because you hit the nail on the head about the other insurance businesses that are in this country. When you get car insurance, when you get homeowners insurance, you specifically go down a menu of what you want and you pick what it is. And whatever you've picked, you pay a premium for that, which you negotiate and you can compete with other companies, compete for
Exactly.
your business. And then if something happens, you make a claim, it's paid. It's cut and dry.
Mhm.
You hit the absolute nail on the head there. That's what we need to restore in this country is the competitive
Simplest.
contracts with insurance companies and not have this ridiculous subsidy
Exactly.
situation. Yep, you
People
are
who
you are
need
right.
go to Medicaid, Medicare. We have that. That is what the government should be dealing with. If you feel that you can't afford a premium, or if you're strapped economically, or you have a certain income basis, that means we have to maybe lessen some of the restrictions on Medicaid, Medicare. Fine. I'm all for that, to allow those people to go into that window. But what I'm not okay with is people that are, I'm paying everybody subsidies,
Right,
truthfully. I'm
Yeah.
paying their subsidies. Healthier people, people that are paying their premiums that are outrageously priced, they are the ones that are covering these subsidies. And
Mhm.
you're burdening those that, eventually, I don't know how long I'm going to be healthy for, God forbid, but still, you're
yep,
burdening people that are otherwise not burdening the healthcare system. And that should always be the other way around. Look at car insurance. I'm going to pay less than somebody that is a drunk driver. Like, and people go, well, you can't help if you get sick. Okay, you can't help if you get into a
Well,
lot of
yes and
accidents
no. Yes and
either.
yes and no.
And I agree with that too. And that's why, everybody's shitting on Trump about the visas and the overweight. I'm sorry, but you're not going to come into our country with your poor healthcare habits and your poor health and burden our system and then get free healthcare.
right.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
we,
know
of course,
why.
which all of us are going to pay for. I
Yes,
mean, they're
exactly.
essentially, it's like we're being strangled to death, and it's getting to a point where it's unsustainable. You know what I mean?
100%.
Go
You
ahead.
know what I'm so sick of they shit on RFK over every fucking thing when this guy has done nothing but you know, I'm not saying everything he's done is perfect, but his intent, he really cares about the health of this country. The Democrats have done nothing health wise except fuck up the healthcare system, just like you just described, Candace. And the um they try to block and just criticize everything that that we try to do as far as health. Yeah, unhealthy people, you know, people that are on government health care, they're normally on other government care, and they seem to be the unhealthiest.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if else I saw a video of a guy, and look, this was a guy that delivers groceries, so I don't know if how legit this was, if he was telling the truth, but it was interesting, and I tend to believe him. As soon as SNAP, people started getting their SNAP, he started, you know, everybody started going to the store. He said, Tom, he said 70% of what he was delivering to people on food stamps was sodas
I
and
would say it's
chips.
Mountain Dew and Doritos.
Of course,
That's
yeah.
exact sodas and chips.
Of course,
So
because guys, it's like the Section 8 like comparison. And I'm sorry, like you go into a Section 8 house, it's not kept nicely. Let's be real. How often, and I remember I'm a realtor or was a realtor. You go into some of those places that are Section 8 and there's a lot of damage. The properties are not kept well because you don't give a shit about things that you don't actually pay for.
yeah,
Bingo.
Your body's included, your healthcare included.
well, there's a reason why the saying of describing a drunk person is tore up like a screen door in the projects. There's a reason why that saying is there, because
Exactly.
screen doors in the projects, they tear them up. you
Hmm.
know, so you know, so
Absolutely. And
uh,
look, the government loves that, right? The
yeah.
government loves that because they're giving you money. They don't fucking want you to live. Are you kidding me? They don't want to have to keep funding you either. So of course they'll let you get the sodas and the candy and have you be in poor health and give you, you know, government insurance. While it may be better coverage, you're still waiting for treatments.
But when you
Okay?
don't have
So
any skin in the game, you don't really care.
exactly. Exactly. And so they're like, they're just going to die anyway. You know, that's their thought process. And so everybody's rallying, saying that RFK is a nut, but he just wants you to live longer. And the government doesn't want you to live longer because then they have to continue to pay for your shit. But
Right.
Right.
nobody actually sits down and says, you know, maybe he's onto something. Maybe he wants me. He's the only one that wants me to live longer.
I mean, I have to respect, you know, I saw an interview the other day where RFK was talking to JD Vance, and they were talking about the different, you know, like they were talking about the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps and how, you know, which workout set thing do you do? You know,
Hmm.
RFK gets up every day. I don't know if you've ever seen him without a shirt on. That dude's ripped
Hmm.
because he cares about his
I feel a
health.
little older man crush going on over here.
I know, man. That dude is ripped. And then JD Vance is talking about how he does this Marine Corps workout every day. You know, these guys don't have to do that, but they are doing it to set an example of what you can do to be the best you can be. And like Candace just said a minute ago, all people do is crap on them and say like, "Oh, these people this and they're idiots that and everything." Well, all I'm seeing, genuinely seeing out of this administration is a sincere attempt to make America better in every way possible that they can. I realize Trump can be
Exactly.
a big blowhard. I mean, like he put out this tweet the other day about Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just like, you know, when he does stuff like that, I'm like, dude, just shut up. But,
Hmm.
you know, if you look at the day in and day out results that this administration has gotten in the last 11 months, it is unprecedented. And
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It makes me feel so proud to be an American to see that they care about us and themselves enough to make, you know what I mean, to want to do to be the best they can be. And that's, to me, that's the bottom line of it. And the government, these people that are in there, these lifers, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, they don't care. They're not doing anything to help us, and they should be doing whatever they can to pass legislation to get us back to that competitive insurance pool that we've been talking about for the last few minutes.
Absolutely. And you know what's even crazier is we're 11 months in, what, 10, 11 months. And
Mhm.
I think that again, the general American person has the memory, and I say it a million times, of a fucking goldfish because we have never, ever done this much in that short amount of time. And yet it's like, oh, well, things are still not affordable or this or that. It's like, guys, look at everything that has been achieved thus far. I have paid under four of, sadly, most of my vehicles are premium gas guzzling vehicles. Okay. I paid under $4 a gallon of premium gas like 2 days ago. I can't remember the last time I did that. I
Sure.
can't remember.
Because
Yeah.
And it's like,
we're becoming
guys,
self-sufficient. That's right.
like we are on our way, but it's like these people are it's like they don't remember what we lived through. We
Yeah.
had
So
4 years of Biden with multiple years of supply chain shortages that were scary. Again, when I had my daughter, it was in 2022. We were stocking up formula. And whatever we didn't use, we were donating to anybody we could find because of how terrible it was to find formula, Tylenol. And
This,
these were not things that were fixed quickly. It took months
and
for
we're
things to
talking about
level
the
out.
United States of America here.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
Who
like,
would
guys,
have
do you
ever
not
thought you'd be
fucking
talking
remember
about?
this?
Yeah. Who'd ever think you'd be talking about that kind of a problem in this country?
Right. And then it's like these guys are like, oh, beef is a little expensive. All right, guys, like, well, at least we fucking have some. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I don't understand where everybody just forgets what we actually lived through and what we have done in the last 11 months and how it has made America more affordable, stronger, more sustainable, and just a better place to live in such a short period of time. I don't get it.
Yeah.
What am I
so
missing?
so you're 100% right, that people have short memories, and that is a political strategy
Hmm.
that I've used that many times. You know, um, we were our sheriff was elected every 4 years. So at the beginning of a term, is if you had to do something unpopular, if you got to cut a program, if you got to, when it comes to employees, because every employee, they have family and they vote. So if you got an employee and you're going to clip them, it's time to clip them. You do it at the front end because people have forgotten by the end. So what I think what's happening, and because Trump just wants to do good, he's not
Hmm.
trying to. What most people would do, they would timeline this throughout 4 years and say, okay, and this is what I admire him about. Because he's not running again, but he doesn't care about that kind of stuff. What most people would have done is they would have waited until election year and come out with the Holy Grail. Whatever the Holy Grail is, they would have not done it. They would have spaced. He's done so much in 10 months. Most people would have spaced that out over 4 years and waited for that Holy Grail thing at the end so they can use that to their political advantage.
Right.
But because you're right, people forget. And I don't
Well,
have the answers for that. As far as I think you're right on the healthcare. I really don't have the answers to that, but I can tell you this: it's a mess. What
Hmm.
people don't understand too, the liberals, is if we want healthcare to go down, we've got to get healthier as a nation. Quit fighting fucking everything that RFK. Every
Amen.
time he opens his
Yep.
mouth, they fucking come after him. Well, that's first off how you can cut insurance down.
Hmm. And then they
When you're
overdose on Tylenol. So there's that.
yeah,
Fucking
then
lunatics. I
we have
can't.
that.
And I'm like, these are our neighbors. Like these are the people that were like, oh yeah, America is so great. And then I look at these dipshits that are overdosing on Tylenol because they said, hey, you just should probably be careful.
Yeah, maybe we aren't that great.
Yeah,
All right, let's.
right?
I'm just waiting for Trump to suggest that oxygen is bad. That's what I
Oh
really
yeah,
can't
we're
wait for.
waiting
I
for it.
can't wait. Yeah, them motherfuckers with the bags over their head would be amazing.
It's like they find something else to be outraged about. And it's like, guys, we're just trying to be like critically thinking and just making you aware.
Mhm.
There is a
Yeah.
rise in autism. We're trying to figure that out. All of a sudden, it became like a mutiny of like, no, autism's fine. It's fine. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Right.
this is
So they
something that
took
these two
that.
crazy
Yeah,
asses.
typical liberals. They took that as of RFK and his group attacking people with autism.
Right.
That's not what the fuck, man.
They're trying to fix it. And it's like,
Yeah,
you guys were also trying to fix it 4 years
yeah.
ago, and you were just using essential oils. And now this guy is like, by the way, you should probably try this, this, and this. And these people are getting so offended. Now
Yeah.
autism is not a disease. It's perfectly fine. And we should just, be fine with it.
You want
No,
you
there's
want to
some.
hear a sick story? recently, about 2 weeks ago, I was going over my Facebook feed, and through a mutual friend who's, I'm not friends with the person that posted this, but the person that posted that I saw it, I was a mutual friend of theirs. Somebody that I know posted pictures of their child with their autism cake because they found out, they were officially diagnosed with autism. So they posted that they gave their child a cake about autism is great. And I'm like, and how, it's better to know if you're a zebra that, like, why aren't you like all the other horses? It's because, and I'm like, and they're talking about how they actually said in the post, there was a little like meme with it. And it actually said, this was serious. It said, it's better. Labels aren't always bad because sometimes it's better to know that you're different and that it's celebrated. And I'm like, it just boggled my mind. I'm thinking, why would you do this? Again, I mean, the kid is great. I know the kid, but it's like, why would you do that? Why would you publicly put on a Facebook a cake that says, this child, it said this child whose name I won't say has autism.
Right. If you replace that with any other disease or illness, like, hi, hello, there's that just completely debunks that. And also too, it's like the gender thing, right? Like that's, oh, you're just, autism isn't just a feeling. You just don't wake up and you're like, I'm autistic today. But that's also the problem. I'm from the 90s. You guys are all older than me. Sorry, I don't mean to call you out. But you know what? There were
Tom's
people.
older.
You're older.
There were people that were just eccentric, right?
Yeah.
Now they're autistic.
Yep.
It's like, no, they were just a little
They're
off
on
and
the
they went on to go
spectrum.
be a fucking engineer. Like,
Yeah.
they're fine. So there's also the end of that as well, where we need to have a spectrum. Okay. And there's all different levels of the spectrum. And there's the on the spectrum. No, they're just a little odd. Okay. And that's it. So there's a couple things that I have a problem with because that was in my generation too. We had many people out there that were high functioning now, right? So you're labeling them with a problem, but maybe they don't really have a problem. But then the ones that really have a problem, you're like, celebrate, you're autistic. I don't get it. And it's like we're trying to help everybody. We're trying to help whatever it is that is causing this in our children. And to get offended by that is just I don't know, am I in the twilight zone? Is something wrong with me? Am I the fucked up one?
It feels like it, Candace. It sure feels like it at times.
I just don't understand. You know what I mean? And it's just like this around and around and around and around we go. And it's just another outrage topic for just because somebody has an R next to their name. That's honestly what it is. And I said this, I know we're going to talk about Epstein eventually, but I said this in another video where it's like, I think the biggest thing that we struggle with is we keep trying to tell the other side or convince the other side that we're good people, right? It was like the whole racism thing. Like, no, I have friends that are of color, blah, blah. What the fuck are you doing? Stop. They're going to believe what they're going to believe. Nothing that you say to them matters. Pretending you're an advocate of Epstein files release means nothing to them. They still think you're a piece of shit. They still want you out of here. And they still think that you support criminal activity. The same criminal activity that they're actually well known for. But they don't care. So like we keep trying to do this. We keep trying to convince people that are programmed to hate us. And we keep trying to do the whole, no, I promise I'm a really good person, like me.
Yeah.
And then we're shocked that it doesn't work. So at this stage of the game, I don't give a fuck about the Epstein files. I didn't give a fuck about it
Well,
in
good. Let's go into that because that's what I was going to ask you. What's your
2024.
take? You know my take. You see my videos I've done this week. That's what your take is pretty much.
My take is nobody, and I'm sorry, I'm going to call anybody out. Nobody thought about this shit in 2024 and 2023 and 2022. Maybe we thought about it when it came out. Okay. Maybe we thought about it when we watched the Netflix documentary. All right. But at the end of the day, this was not talked about. Nobody was outraged about it. Nobody lost sleep over it because you know what? We believed what we were told. Oh, he went to jail. Great. Oh, his accomplice went to jail. Great. Like, that's it. That's the end of the fucking story. And I feel like everybody is using this in such a disingenuous way. And Republicans are then trying to do the whole, no, I'm a really good person. I care about pedophilia. We're going to figure it out. We're going to bring people to justice. And I just wish everybody would be fucking for real because I know I didn't lose any sleep over it. And I know neither of you guys did either.
I can't add a thing to that. That was perfectly said.
Like, I'm sorry. And it's like, yes, it's a horrible thing. It's terrible. If there are still things happening out there, they should be brought to justice. But this has nothing to do with the federal government and the White House. And
Right.
how it got there, I said it on one of my posts. It's like all of a sudden the White House became like the Flavor Flav contest. And I don't understand it. I don't get it. And it doesn't belong there. And
Well, it's
nobody
because they're
gives a
trying to
fuck
take Trump
about
down.
this.
We
This
did
is all,
bring that on. We did bring that on ourselves with
We
Cass,
did 100%.
you know, with Pam Bondi, the way she was handling things, and yeah, but that's y'all know where I stand.
Hmm.
Unless somebody's arrested, and you're not owed that. People out there that listen up. You're not
They
fucking
don't
owed
get it.
you're not owed a fucking thing.
Mm-mm.
You
No, and
you're
and you
buying
were
on
right,
your
James.
yeah.
With the whole, as far as like people being, you can't just sit here and release shit for the sake of releasing it. You're ruining people's lives that had nothing to fucking do with this. Really, just because they were found in an email. Oh, somebody had a phone call with Jeffrey Epstein. All of a sudden, you've now linked them to this crazy thing when they probably did nothing. And I'm sorry, being like somewhat in the legal area, it's like, this is a nothing burger, you guys. If there was something crazy that was
it will
happening,
come out.
it would have came out. You would have seen more arrests. There would have been evidence. You had in the summertime a panel of victims doing a motherfucking interview saying we're going to come out with our own list. It's now 6 months later.
You
I
don't
don't get
think
it.
the Democrats would have run with this during the 2024
I
campaign
mean,
between
well, I
Harris
mean
and Trump?
yeah, that's obvious what it is.
All they're doing here is taking whatever they think will stick to the wall to take
Mhm.
Trump down. That's all this is about.
But
And
Republicans
I
are
agree with the
buying
two of you. I could give a
into it.
shit less about it.
Thank you.
Well,
And Republicans are buying into it. And that's why I'm like, MTG, like, shut the fuck up. You don't care about this. Stop trying to prove to Georgia that you are a good person. You're either going to be good in their eyes because you've done good in
yeah,
that state, or they're going to think you're a piece of shit because you're a Republican.
Yep,
Nothing we can do about it. Don't
yep,
use Epstein as your way to be like, I'm a good person. And I think that's where Republicans are fucking up.
yep.
Every Republican should come out and be like, guys, we don't give a fuck about this. And Trump did that. And everybody got upset, including me. I was like, wait a second, maybe we should talk about this. And then
mhm.
I got my head out of my ass and said, wait a second, I didn't give a fuck about this in 2024 and 2023 and 2022. We didn't. And now we're
I
just
got
trying
stuff
to
that I'm
play
worried about
games.
this affecting my life. And I look, and
Mhm.
I give this disclaimer every time I talk about it because I don't want to sound like a heartless prick who doesn't care
Right.
about kids. I do, but that's not. There are things going on in this world that do keep me up at night.
Hmm.
Epstein's not the one.
No. And I'm sorry, these same
Healthcare,
people that were
healthcare is
concerned,
one. 42 million people on food
food
stamps.
stamps.
That keeps
Is
me up.
that, I mean, when that figure came out, I almost
Hmm.
fell off the chair. I was like, how is it possible that literally
12% of our
10%
country.
of our country is on this public assistance shit?
Yeah.
That's what we should be working. So it's just all a big distraction, and
But what's
that's
crazy
where
is when trafficking was a big deal, like again, back in COVID, and even there were a large, alarming amount of sex trafficking that was occurring, even in my state, because we're so close to New York and New Jersey. It's
Mhm.
so easy to grab people and take them over to another state. It was
Yep.
a
Yeah,
problem. It was a concern. It was frightening. That is one of the reasons why I purchased handguns in my home because I was concerned about that. Their mum's the fucking word, man. No Democrat came out and said, you know what, there's a sex trafficking problem happening in our nation. But here
mhm.
they are crying about Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Well, because
We
it's because it'll take down, they think it'll take down Trump, and it won't.
exactly. It won't, because again, I think most people are waking up, and I think again with Marjorie Taylor Greene, it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna do what she wants it to do for her. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
Yeah, I'm
Everybody
very
should know
surprised
better.
by this turn of events with her. I'm very surprised.
Yeah.
Now, somebody said it was to secure her reelection. And I truly feel like he has tips with people for their own safety. Like Elon Musk, he needed to go back to be a businessman. And in order to do that,
That's
it was like,
strategy.
let's break up so you can go back to where you have to go back to and you won't be hated and killed.
Well, the
Maybe
Democrats
this is a
did
similar
that
thing.
with the shutdown. The Democrats did that with those 8 people. On the surface, they're having this war, but what they did, in my opinion, because I know how this works.
Mm-hmm.
What they did was had a meeting and said, okay, which 8 can do this and not get crucified in their district?
Right.
So they
Exactly.
had 8 people that they chose those 8, and then they're like, I can't believe they did that.
So
So
I have to correct you, James.
they polled the districts, and they found out where this was popular and who was taking the blame where, and that was all strategic on what 8 was doing that.
I agree, James, but I do have to make one thing I want to point out. 7 of them they did that for. John Fetterman is a honey badger because he does not give a shit. I love that guy.
Fetterman did it from the beginning. Yeah, Fetterman did it from the beginning.
Well, and I think, listen, John Fetterman has experienced some things. Again, he's from my state, right? And what did he experience? Tom Wolfe, he experienced the health secretary, he experienced all this really wacky shit and was probably like, oh, I don't know if I really agree with this dynamic. I mean, I just, and now look at them. They're just completely, it's a new witch hunt.
That's right.
It's a new
they're already trying. They've already set up where they're trying to primary him out of Pennsylvania his next cycle. Horrible.
Well, that's what I'm covering. I'll say this in closing. I'll give y'all something to close on. So that's what I'm covering on my show tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, is all this endorsement, primarying people. I don't like what I'm very disappointed, very sad, just very sad of what Trump is doing right now. And I'm not a big MTG fan. I go back and forth with her. You know, sometimes she has some sense, sometimes she goes out there, but that's not how this thing works. The voters in Georgia choose who their congressman is. Donald Trump doesn't choose. You know, all this, what Obama was doing 2 weeks ago and all these endorsements and all that. And I'm telling y'all, at every level, whether it's local, national, do your own research and educate yourself as a voter, and stop depending on people who you think are good people and who you think care about you and their endorsements, because they're not endorsing it for you. They don't care about you. Their endorsement is for their fucking power, period. That's my closing. Tommy boy, give us some closing thoughts.
Well, I want to acknowledge Marines Blood's comment there about Fetterman. I couldn't agree more. He is somebody that I thought was totally off the wall and somebody that I thought was going to be a nightmare for the Democrat Party. And that guy has been saner and saner with every time he looks at issues. So my closing will be, I wish him a speedy recovery on his health issue this week.
And now let me comment on that. Have you noticed that Fetterman, who's a Democrat, now he's not a radical and he's not hated by the Republicans, but not by most. But did you notice that not one Republican celebrated his injury? Not one Republican made memes about it or laughed, or it was, that's how things are supposed to go. Could you imagine if it was, you know, Jordan that fell, what the Democrats would be celebrating and hoping that he died? So that's the difference between us and these filthy fucking animals. Candace, what you got for closing?
My only thought is, I think as Republicans, everybody's got to stop worrying about whether or not they're viewed as a good person, and they have to start getting results for their states. We have to start getting results for, you know, the entire country. But at the same time, I think people who are struggling right now, my biggest message this week has been, you guys asked for this. And this is why educating yourself before you cast a vote, educating yourself on a certain policy that's going to be passed, it's important, because you might be voting for the wrong things. We're seeing it with Mom Donnie. You might be voting for the wrong things. And when that doesn't come to fruition, you really have nobody to blame but yourself. You cannot always expect politicians to dig you out when you have been rallying and lobbying for things like Obamacare for a decade. Here we are. You can't always ask Republicans to save you.
I agree. Well, I appreciate both of y'all coming on tonight. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I will be here live tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. I will be talking about how Republicans, we have got to stop eating each other. And I don't like what's going on right now. I don't like what's going on with, you know, Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson. It's just, we got to get it together. And I thought with, that was going to be one thing that happened, that one thing that good came out of Charlie Kirk's death, and it's gotten fucking worse, you know, with your with your sister, the other Candace.
You know, and it's funny.
She's crazy.
It's been over 2 months. Does anybody has she told us who she thinks killed Charlie Kirk? Because I'm still waiting. But yet her podcast is #1. So she's another asshole that I just can't even
Yeah.
stomach.
You
She
know,
needs to change her fucking name.
I used to think that she had future presidential. I thought, several years ago when she first came on the scene, I really thought this person's got, she's a sharp cookie. She's really got it together, and she might be presidential material one day. She is absolutely crazy, as is Tucker Carlson. I'm so sickened by his ridiculous trash about 9/11. I mean, it just completely dishonors every police and firefighter and person that was killed in there. These people have no conscience at all. And I'm just completely disgusted by the both of them.
Agreed.
Well, again, appreciate both of y'all coming on. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Until tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, McGee is out.